Good morning, students. Let us revise salts today. You have studied there are 6 different types of salts. I have taught you what is a normal salt, what is an acid salt, what is a basic salt, double salt, complex salt, etc. Let us define what is a salt. A salt is a chemical compound which, when dissolved in water, yields a positive ion other than hydrogen ion and a negative ion other than hydroxyl ion. You've already studied that acids, when dissolved in water, yields a positive ion, which is hydrogen ion, and bases or alkalis, when dissolved in water, it yields hydroxyl ions as the only negatively charged ions. Let's take a quick look at the sodium chloride in its aqueous solution. It ionizes into sodium ions, which are positively charged, and a chloride ion, which is negatively charged. Now let us move on to classification of salts. We are going to do three types of salts. 1. Normal salt. 2. Acid salt. 3. Basic salts. And the rest is not in your syllabus. First and foremost, what is a normal salt? Salts formed by complete replacement of the replaceable hydrogen ion of an acid by a basic radical or ammonium ion. Once more, salts that are formed by complete replacement of the replaceable hydrogen ion of an acid by a basic radical like metals or ammonium ion. The examples are sodium chloride, potassium nitrate, barium chloride, lead nitrate, copper sulfate, sodium sulfate. These are few good examples of normal salts. Now, how are they formed? When you react a base with a dilute acid, it always gives you salt and water. So sodium hydroxide, when it is taken in excess and reacted with dilute sulfuric acid, it gives you a normal salt. For instance, sodium sulfate, and water is formed. Now, what is an acid salt? Salts formed by partial, means incomplete, replacement of the replaceable hydrogen ion of an acid by a basic radical or ammonium ion. Salts formed by partial replacement of the replaceable hydrogen ion of an acid by a basic radical or ammonium ion. So here there is only partial replacement of hydrogen atom ion taking place. As a result, acid salt is formed. For example, sodium hydrogen sulfate, sodium hydrogen carbonate, potassium hydrogen sulfite, sodium hydrogen sulfite, and please do remember these salts are generally formed by dibasic acids. For example, if you react sodium hydroxide with sulfuric acid, of course you've taken insufficient sodium hydroxide and more of in excess sulfuric acid, then you get an acid salt, and that is sodium hydrogen sulfate, and water is formed. Number 3, basic salt. Salts which are formed by the incomplete replacement of hydroxyl radicals of a diacetic or a triacetic base with an acid radical. Now, what do you mean by diacetic or triacetic base? For instance, magnesium hydroxide, calcium hydroxide, OH2. There are two hydroxyl ions in it. Triacidic base, for instance, you studied aluminium hydroxide, ferric hydroxide like AlOH3. Okay, so there are three hydroxyl ions. Basic examples: basic copper chloride, CuOHCl. Basic lead nitrate, Pb within brackets OHNO3. So basic salts will contain hydroxyl radicals in it. Is that clear? Now let us study what is solubility of salts. What do you understand by solubility of salts? I have jotted down in point wise. Number one, all sodium, potassium, and ammonium salts are soluble in water. That means sodium nitrate, sodium sulfate, sodium carbonate, potassium carbonate, ammonium carbonate, okay, ammonium sulfate. So they are all soluble in water. So remember, the moral of the story is all sodium, potassium, and ammonium salts are water soluble. Number two, all nitrates and nitrites are water soluble. You take, for instance, lead nitrate, copper nitrate, calcium nitrate, zinc nitrate. Similarly, nitrites, they are all soluble in water. Number three, all bicarbonates are soluble except potassium bicarbonate and sodium bicarbonate. These are sparingly soluble in water, meaning hardly. Okay, they dissolve in water, very little, sparingly soluble in water. Next is all sulfates are soluble in water except lead sulfate, silver sulfate, barium sulfate, and calcium sulfate. So these are the ones that are insoluble in water: lead, silver, barium, and calcium sulfate. Now let us move on to number 5, chlorides. All chlorides are water soluble salts except, now you have to remember, these are the ones that are insoluble: lead chloride, silver chloride, mercurous chloride. Now keep in mind, lead chloride is soluble in hot water only. So lead chloride is a salt which is soluble in hot water, insoluble in cold water. And last of all, number 6, all carbonates, phosphates, oxides, hydroxides, sulfides are insoluble in water. These are all insoluble salts. Now, except sodium, potassium, and ammonium. Look at the first point I had mentioned. All salts of sodium, potassium, and ammonium are soluble in water. So these are the exceptions. Please revise the lesson thoroughly. Thank you.